All right, so welcome back. Let's move on to that last example then. So in this example, Zach hits a baseball, excuse me, and the Fox computer, so this is the Fox Sports Network, that's what it refers to, determines the flight path is modeled by that equation right there. Okay, so we have Zach and his bat, and the ball follows that parabolic arc. All right. H of D, that represents the height. D represents the horizontal distance. Both are measured in meters. So we are measuring how high it went, our H, and we're measuring how far it went. So both our X and Y values are measures of length. Answer the following. Determine the maximum height. Maximum height. So as soon as you see the word maximum or minimum, that means complete the square. Okay? So that's what's going on when I see that. Complete the square. All right, so that's in my thought bubble. So for A part, I'm going to have to rewrite that equation. So H of D equals negative 0.15 D squared plus 4.9 D plus 0.8. Again, completing the square, we common factor out of the first two terms. Negative 0.15 bracket D squared, it'll be minus 4.9 because I factored out a 0.15. 4.9 divided by the 0.15 gives me 32.67D. We leave that last term alone. Okay? Next, we complete the square inside. So it'll be D squared minus 32.67D. Divide that by 2, and we square it. I get 266, so plus 266. Let's call it 0.8. So I got to subtract by that. Plus 0.8. Those first three terms result in a perfect square. So the bracket would be D minus half of the 32.67. So 32.67, divide that by 2. That ends up being, let's call it 16.3. Remember that that negative 0.15 has to multiply that last term. So 0.15 negative times 266.8 negative. Then we get plus 40 plus 0.8. Final step. D minus 16.3 squared plus 40.8. So the maximum height of the ball occurs at the highest point, which is the Y value of our vertex. So our vertex would be 16.3 meters and 40.8 meters. So that means, therefore, the max height will be the 40.8. So this is when it happened. This is what the value was. So the max height is 40.8 meters. All right. So there's A answered. B. When does the ball reach its maximum height? So we see the word maximum again. Again, it's completing the square. We've already done that. And this is the when, and I just referred to it right here. So the ball reaches max height. And remember, we're measuring how far it traveled. When it traveled 16.3 meters. Okay? So there is your C part. Or sorry, B part. On to C part. C part is how far from Zach will it land? So we want to know the total distance from here to here, because this is when the ball lands. So we want to know how far that is. So we need to set our height equal to 0. So extending this down a little bit here. So C part, we know that the height, I need my equation again, HD, so the height is equal to negative 0.15 d squared plus 4.9d plus 0.8. So that means it's going to be a height of 0. When does that happen? Now, similar to the previous example, with all these decimals and stuff, I'm going to go straight to the quadratic formula. Again, right from Unit 1. It's already in the right form, A, B, and C. So we go ahead and plug it in. So D equals, I'll write it out, plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. So negative 4.9 plus or minus 4.9 squared minus 4, that's negative 0.15 times 0.8 all over 2 times negative 0.15. So we plug that into the calculator. And what I found was negative 4.9 plus or minus the square root of 24.5 over, and 2 times 0.15 negative, that's negative 0.3. So that means I'll get two answers out of this, so we've got to plug them in. So 4.9 negative plus 24.5 square rooted equals divided by 0.3 negative. So negative 0.17 meters. And plugging in the other one, minus 24.5 square rooted divided by 0.3 negative, 215.5 meters. All right, so similar to Unit 1, a negative distance doesn't make sense, okay? Or you kicked the ball, I guess, but in this case, we're going to assume it's inadmissible. Inadmissible. That's an answer we're not going to accept. It means our actual answer is 215 meters. So Zach just cranked that ball. That's a long shot. So therefore, it will land 215.5 meters away. All right. Final ones are question D. What height did Zach hit the ball from? So again, you got to read between the lines. So at what height did was the ball hit from? So this is initial height. All right, that's what was the height initially. So I've got room here. So D, this question's basically asking what was the height of the ball when it hadn't moved yet. So H and D at 0. So we're finding the y-intercept, we're finding the initial value. So we're just plugging in 0 into the equation. 0.15 squared plus 4.9d plus 0.8. Those guys are going to go to 0. So 0.8 meters. So therefore, Zach hit the ball from a height of 0.8 meters. Okay? So again, you're not going to come across a question quite that tedious in terms of all those components, just because in the homework anyway. On a test, I might make it this way, but then you only have one word problem and it tests all the skills. So make sure you go through, do enough of the questions, and you're comfortable doing everything that we've done. Okay, you need to be able to do everything by hand. Okay, you can check with the technology, but it has to be done by hand on marking your process. It's one of the skills, algebra skills required in this course. All right, so there we go. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll give you a hand and get them clarified. Good luck.